Hello, my name is Lemmings, and I am the person who made that'smybiz.com. I just want to give a quick little intro for people setting up a guild for the first time as to what I think are the first steps that you should do when you're coming in. So first off, I made this website specifically for Loot Council, but it seems other people are using it for other loot types and loot methods, and that's great. As time goes on, I'd like to add more support for that. So the first thing you want to do is when you register, it hooks into your Discord account. It doesn't do very much. All it does is see what Discord servers you're on so you can register the one that has your guild. You come into the register a guild section and you can choose your Discord server. Make sure you add the bot to your server and pick a name, pick an expansion, check the checkbox, and you're good to go. Once you've done that, and you come into your empty guild for the first time, you're going to see the admin settings page, and there's a number of options here that you can play around with. The first thing you're going to want to do is optionally set up a guildmaster role, officer role, raid leader role, and definitely you want to set members. These first three are optional. You can pick any role from your Discord server, and anyone inside of your Discord server with that role will gain access to the permissions listed here. For the members, you must put in anyone that you want to be able to come and join your guild on That's My Biz. You must put the roles in here. Just a minor correction, if you leave this blank, literally anyone on your Discord server can join, which could be problematic. So I do recommend setting a role here, but you don't have to if you don't want to. My recommendation would be just picking a role such as Raider. Give all your Raiders that role, including the officers, and then save that and they can join the website. The next thing I would recommend doing right away is coming into the raid groups section here and creating some raid groups. So this website was designed so that each guild could have multiple raid groups. Now, I raided on a pretty big guild in Classic, so we had, I think, at most times we had 3 raid groups running of 40 people, so quite a few. So I designed this system to support multiple raid groups. But even if you only have one raid group, you should go ahead and at least create that one raid group. So raid group 1, I'm just going to call this. And optionally, you can go ahead and you can tie a Discord role to that raid group. All this is going to do is whatever color that raid group has on the Discord role, that color is just going to show up alongside the raid group as it appears throughout the website. Once you've got your raid group set up, I'll show you quickly what some of the website might look like once you have more things set up, and it'll make a bit more sense. And I've just pulled up a page here for a guild that's already started setting things up. This is Naxxramas, and this is the loot list for all the bosses. In this case, Maxina, they've come through for Kiss of the Spider, and they've done a few things. First thing they've done is over on the right here we can see notes and prio notes. They've gone through and they've written down important notes for this item. They've said this is Biz for Paladins, and they've also gone through and they've put class priorities attached to it. So in this case they're saying Rogue is equal to a Fury Warrior, Feral Druid is equal to a Hunter. So if this item drops, they can immediately look over to the notes here, see, okay, it's good for Paladins. Rogue and Fury Warrior are probably first in line, after that Feral Druid and Hunter. They can also see on the left here, they've actually set a tier. In this case, they've said that Kiss of the Spider is S tier. By going through and setting up these 3 things, when the item drops, that's already a lot of information for anyone who's in the guild, whether they are in Loot Council and trying to decide who to give it to, or if it's a regular member and they don't know the loot tables that great and they don't know if Kiss of the Spider is good or not. By having this information, they can see pretty quickly. This guild has also done a few other things. They've had their members come through, and their members have wishlisted the items they want. So in this case, we have 4 people who have wishlisted Kiss of the Spider. I can see that the first 3 people have it at rank 1 in their wishlist. Last person, Annex, has it at rank 2. I can also see that these last 2 people made their wishlist 18 days ago, and this person was 7 hours ago, this person was a month ago. So I can see if we have any late additions, or I can see if someone's been waiting for it for like months and months and months. They've had it at number 1 on their wish list. I can also see that this guild has opted to prioritize one person for it. So in this case, the Warrior, Hunky Dory, 2 months ago, they put him at number 2 in the prio for this item. If they're at number 2, that means the number 1 person has already received it, which means they're next in line, and they're waiting to get Kiss of the Spider. So if this item drops, we have a lot of information available to us. And we can even see a history of who's received it in the past. So obviously those people shouldn't get it again. Strix has received it in the past, but they still have it wishlisted, so I can just safely ignore them. Now with that said, all that information, it's my recommendation that you go and set these things up. It takes time, but for me, that's part of the fun of the game. As an admin, I would come into the item notes section after I've created my raid group, and I would choose whichever instance I like, say Girls Lair. Now I'm going to come through and I'm going to choose for each item which tier I think it is. I can write down a note and I can put down class prios. If the item isn't that important, I might put it at F tier. I'll probably not even bother writing a note or a prio if it's not important, and I'll just go on and I'll move through. Some guilds are going to choose only to focus on items that are really high in priority. And I go to admin, item notes, and let's say Naxxramas. I can see that this guild has already come through and they've filled out the tiers and they put priorities for most items. They haven't put notes for most, probably because it's not too important. But here I can see that this item isn't BIS for anyone, any class is open for it. It's a good note to have. If this drops, I know it's not super important. It's a C tier. What you'll also see when you're coming through to do this to help you along is you can see the average tier score that guilds on the website have chosen. In this case, the first item, Bone Scythe Ring, is B.5. What that means is it's halfway between B and A tier. C.6 means it's halfway between, 60% between C and B tier. So this 0.6 at the end, the higher it is, the closer it is to the next tier up. So in this case, it's very close. Well, it's halfway to B tier. And anyway, if you like, you can just go through and choose the average for each item. The reason I've made it so you can choose this on your own and it's not pre-selected is each guild is going to have little minor disagreements about what they think, and depending on the faction, these numbers might change. Something that's really good on Horde might not be as good on Alliance. But I really recommend going through and setting these up. It's a great opportunity to screen share this, hop on your Discord call with your guild, and go through as a group and choose all these things. It can lead to some pretty lively debates and discussions, and it's just a fun activity in general, I think, and it helps your experience on the website a great deal. The next thing I would recommend doing that, after you've got your raid group set up and you've got your item notes, is, now you have the option of, if you like, you can come into the item prios, and as a guild, or maybe as a loot council, or just for the officers, you can start making decisions ahead of time about which players are going to be getting which items. So if I scroll down here, I think this guild has chosen, again, Kiss of the Spider as a very important item. They've already gone through and they've prioritized 2 people for it. But I also see which players have wishlisted it, and I can see which players have already received it. I can also see the notes that I have on this item, as well as the tier. So again, if we already went through and put up the notes in the tier, that information is shown again here. It's very useful to have, so I recommend doing that first. The nice thing about setting up prios, while they are completely optional, and some loot systems will have no use for them, it just allows you to figure out ahead of the raid actually happening who is going to get what, so that when this item finally does drop, you don't have to stop everything in its tracks in the middle of the raid to figure it out. Hopefully you've already done some of the figuring and pre-selected which characters are going to get it. And you can just go right off the list and say, okay, you're next in line, hunky dory. There you go, you get it. But if you want, you can use the prio list a little bit differently. You could ignore the ordering and just say that when this item drops, everyone on the prio list gets a chance to roll at it, or any other permutation or modification that you want. You really can kind of adapt this tool however you like within the limits of what's physically possible on it right now. So that's my recommendation for what to do when you're setting up for the first time. Some guild masters might come through and opt to create all of the characters for their raiders. You do have to go through one by one, put in the name, choose the class. If you want, you can choose a spec and a race. You don't have to fill all this information out. You could just fill out the character name if you like and save it. You can also flag the character as an alt. Alt characters are treated the same as main characters. They just have a little note next to them throughout the website that says this is an alt. You can create the characters ahead of time, or once you've set up the permissions, you could just have your guild members join and create their own characters. But if you've created them, you can always come back to a character later and choose a guild member after they've joined. They won't be able to claim the character on their own. You will have to assign it to them if you created it. So this is a guild which is already kind of in progress. It has some raid history. It already has some characters. So once people come in and they start creating characters in their profile, you probably want to tell them to go in and start choosing what things they want to wishlist. And they can put in whatever stuff they want here. You'll probably want to tell them, hey, only wishlist stuff from this instance or that instance or this content. You can set whatever rules you want as a guild. I recommend just communicating that to them on your Discord server. You also have an option for message of the day. You can set for your guild a message that will show up at the top of the page, and everyone's going to see it on every single page. And that's a good way to communicate extra guild rules for how you want things to work. Go into the guild settings page, check off show guild message of the day, and type in whatever it is you like. So have your characters or your members register, have them create characters, and start wishlisting items. Once they've gone through and wishlisted items, we'll be able to see that when we come to a raid, and say we go for Magtheridon's Lair for the first time, as items drop, I can quickly see who's wishlisted it. If I set prios, I'd see them there. I can see notes, class prios, and etc. If I set tiers, I would see them here. This guild hasn't set the tiers yet, but it just makes it so it's much quicker to assign loot once it drops. That's it for my initial tips for setting up the guild. I'll probably do another video next where I come through and I explain the specifics of how all of these different settings work and some more nuanced features. Hope that helps out. If you have any questions, hop on to the That's My Biz Discord and ask questions or give feedback. I do my best to respond, but I've been very busy lately, so it might take me a few days to get back to some of your feedback. Thank you so much, and have a great day.